when you see how these successful people kind of like will themselves to be successful, and how much of it is like a mind fuck of like, I can't let the like little bit of like, oh God, not today, I'm gonna be lazy or whatever, like fuck with me. I have to just like trick my brain at that point and be like, you know, fucking John Wentz is leaving parties early, motherfucker. you better go.
I'm eating Taco Bell. Sergio's out there painting it. I love it. All right, everybody, coming at you live. It's KWTD, spinning all your favorite art jams.
Yeah, like Bob Murray and the Blow Up Dolls.
Right. Who can forget "You Light Up My Life" by the Brushstrokes?
Yeah. Still Life by Still My Life Band.
I'm your DJ on the ones and twos, howling Sergio Lopez. Ow!
And I'm the guy in the triangle. Ding, 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 ding.
Okay, guys. WTD. We'll be back out of this commercial break.
Hell yeah. What's up, Sergio?
Not much. Got back from the Oregon trip, from the Oregon Trail not too long ago.
How was that?
It was good. It was basically Vanessa and I pretty much together the whole trip.
Nice.
There were talks of possibly hanging out with other people, but it didn't work out. But yeah, that meant I got to show her all my favorite spots in the Columbia Gorge. So
Awesome.
That was fun. Got to paint a lot. Got to camp a lot.
Did you gorge a lot?
we gorged on the gorge, yeah.
Nice.
Nice. It is very gorgeous there.
This is bad.
Never
That's
mind.
cool. How was the weather?
It's hot there as usual, but probably not much hotter than it was here. It was like high 80s, low 90s most of the time there.
That's not bad.
Yeah, and it's not really that humid there either. It can be in certain areas, but it's pretty much high desert kind of around where we were. So yeah, it's pretty similar to California.
Nice.
We avoided pretty much all the protests and all the craziness that was happening in Portland. Our way up there.
It's going down.
We did. The first night we stayed at a hotel there, it was kind of crazy because it was one of those bookings that you just do online, sight unseen kind of. So when we got there, we're unloading our stuff and there's like people shouting anti-white things yeah, and just staring at us very suspiciously. So that kind of scared our two little scaredy cat selves a bit.
Well, you're brown.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they don't take kindly to interracial couples there. I don't know.
Where was this, in Portland?
Yeah, it was North Portland, so it's probably not like the best part of Portland.
Yeah,
but it wasn't. It was actually not white people yelling at us.
when we were there, me and MJ, not that like when all the protests kicked off, there was so much like anti-white stuff that I was like, God, this is nuts.
Yeah.
You guys are so white up here.
Yeah, it's true. It really is. It's very white.
You just have to hate yourself that bad. Chill out. But yeah, good times.
Yeah. But other than that, it was a pretty smooth trip the whole time. Ate a lot.
Nice.
Yeah. There was a lot of places that were closed because of the COVID stuff. A lot of like the really touristy waterfall area, so we didn't get to see any of that.
You didn't get to go chase any waterfalls?
No. We just stuck with the rivers and the lakes that I'm used to.
Hey, well, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah. She loved it up there, though, so that's great.
Yeah.
Scored myself some points, I guess.
Hell yeah. Sorry, I didn't know if you were going to catch that last line, so I was trying to like make sure it got there.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, that's cool. When did you get back? Recently?
About, well, what was it? Well, Sunday of last week. Yeah, Sunday of last week. Then we were just kind of out of commission for a while, just recovering from all the trip.
Right.
Really the driving is like what is kind of the killer when it comes to those kinds of trips.
For sure.
Yeah, so I just didn't really feel like doing anything really for a few days.
Yeah. Who does you do most of the driving?
Yeah, I did that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of switch off. It kind of like depends on whose car we're taking is who ends up driving more. I feel like.
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't mind driving, but there's something about like when you get to like hour, maybe like 6 or 7.
Oh, if you're doing it all on the same day.
Yeah, where you're just sitting in the same exact position for that many hours, where my body just starts freaking out. I'm like, okay, I need to like go stretching, and like I don't know, it's a pain.
Yeah, I try not to like go more than like 2 or 3 hours without any sort of stop. Whereas I used to do that more. I don't know, for whatever reason, it probably like screwed me up in the long run to do it that way.
Yeah, I think so. I'm kind of the same way. I'm still the same way, which I think on the way back from Oregon, this last trip, me and MJ we kind of did like the 2-hour break thing. It's so much better.
Did you guys go up the 5 and back the same way?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, just the straightest way there and back.
Yeah, well, the way there we did.
Oh, really?
We went through like fucking Lake County area, which I don't like doing that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's basically the same time, but you have to go through that windy ass road, like around Middleton. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That's just the way that Google sends you, huh?
Yeah. What happens is MJ, she can't read a map at all.
Oh, really?
So I'll have her kind of like look up Oregon or whatever when we're on our way. And then by the time I realize we're going away that I'm not trying to go, it's already, I feel like I'm already like, oh, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're not going to turn around now.
Yeah.
So fucking sucks. Whatever.
I don't mind it as that Middletown way as much if it's the first way I go, because I could just get that like crappy part out of the way. But coming back, it's usually late at night, and yeah, I'm not trying to do that road at midnight.
Yeah, but so you got some painting done?
Yeah, got some plain ears.
Nice.
Got some oil painting and some
They're
gouache.
not that plain.
The fancy ears.
Fancy hairs. Yeah.
Fancy ears.
Hell yeah.
Painting in the outdoors with Sergio Lopez.
Yeah, I saw that metal cup you painted. Was that during the trip?
Yeah. It's just a little still I set up in the after breakfast. Yeah.
That one came out cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, you know, I have that theory about rich people loving shiny shit.
Yeah.
Recently, I was thinking like, maybe that's changed. I was like,
Why? Because I haven't sold that yet.
no, not because of that. Because I feel like rich people aren't that like into shiny shit anymore. At least when it comes to art, I oddly think that they're into dirty shit. If that makes any sense, because everyone's so minimalist and clean that they like want like a little. Here's my new theory.
Okay. Yeah.
Let me know. This is very fresh.
Okay.
Let me know what you think. I was thinking about it might have even been because I saw your shiny cup that kick-started this idea. Actually, it wasn't that. It was an abstract painting by someone that I follow on Instagram. Yeah, I follow them on Instagram sometimes. Get used to it, listeners. But it was... the painting looked like a dirty wall. Okay. And I started thinking like, you know what, rich people probably want like, it's like, like rich people from, I don't know, I would say even like 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, like they would live in these like fancy looking Victorian houses with a bunch of shiny things in it. But no matter what, you couldn't kind of, I don't know, like the architecture and everything, I feel like would never be that clean. There would always be like a bit of like, I don't know, nature or dirtiness.
Yeah.
Humans are dirty fucking animals.
Right.
So, but nowadays I feel like so many rich people are like these like very clean mansions that are extremely curated, and they're all like minimalist. So they have like a room with like a white block that's their couch or some shit, and then obviously no television because whatever. It's just like a fucking, I don't know what to call the structures people live in now that are rich. They're just big, clean concrete, coffins or something.
Yeah.
And so because of that, there's like no human touch.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I bet now rich people, like, they want like a little bit of dirtiness or like, I don't know, primitiveness is kind of what I was thinking of, like a way to kind of, I don't know, feel human or some shit.
Yeah, I've definitely seen in some of the abstract artists that I follow that do that kind of work, like the cold wax kind of stuff where it's very sort of dingy almost, and they're almost always like when they show an example of it on a wall, it's almost always like a clean cut, like airy, light filled kind of wall.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So there's probably something to that. I don't know. I think it's probably just like trends that just kind of go back and forth. Like once that gets like played out, then they'll be back to the shiny shit.
Yes, I don't know. The reason why I think that they like the dirty shit is just because it's like their world is so clean that they feel like it's like not lived in. Like they live in a house, so that like little bit of dirt is like their way of like feeling grounded or some shit.
Right. Yeah. But I even mean that like that minimal sort of thing will probably morph into something else too, and so their art taste probably will as well.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know what it would morph into.
I don't know either. It's just one of those things like interior decorators and stuff trying to move the needle to like the next trend or whatever. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you think if you like, let's say you had like a pen name or I forget the fucking term for like being another art, like do you think that you could like have like a version of art that you created separate of yourself and be very successful at doing it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think people do that all the time. You just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that, but I'm asking specifically for you.
For me?
Yeah, like, because I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I was thinking like, oh, I wish I could paint this, and I bet it would sell. And then I was like, I don't know if I should, or I don't know. It becomes that weird, like, is it on brand type of mentality?
Right.
I don't really think of myself as a brand, but it becomes something like that of like, this is so different than what I normally do. But I was like, I wonder how successful it would be
if you tried to put it into your whatever you call it, a brand right now.
Yeah. Yeah, if I just was like, I'm doing this also.
Yeah.
I never know. I mean...
Yeah. Well, that was something I always thought about doing just because of like, because I was so separating my figures and my landscape stuff in the way that I was presenting it and all that. So I don't know, maybe somebody would have said that you should do it that way, but then more people told me that I should just have it all together than to separate it. But I don't know, I guess it would depend on just how far outside of what you're doing it actually is. Right. Like it's all still painting for me, so it still makes sense that I would have it all under the same umbrella. Like I have my website is all the same, like it's all grouped together in the same website.
Mhm.
So, but I don't know, like, I guess if it was something like, I don't know, you were trying to be like Jeff Koons or something, you did like something way out there.
Yeah, even that, like I mean, I think about it randomly. So right now I'm thinking about it in like in terms of like something I would like, but there's also times where I'm like, I wonder how easy it would be to fool everyone, like to be like, this is genius art, you know what I mean? Like, but really just hating it, but just to see how stupid people are.
Oh, so like if you were trying to do like duct tape banana type shit.
Yeah, yeah, but like like using a pseudonym, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
Cinnamon. Cinnamon. Using a cinnamon.
Yeah. Using a Cinnabon.
But yeah.
Like, what was it? Well, I guess you don't want to say it on the Instagram or on the podcast if you're actually going to try it. But what was an idea you had, though?
I honestly can't even remember. I just always wonder, like, how easy it is to, like, is that like its own skill, or is it something that's like actually not that hard?
Right.
Just most artists don't pursue it because we all hate it.
Yeah. I guess there's probably some sort of skill, but it's not even an art skill. It's more of like a marketing / I don't know what
troll.
Yeah, something like that. Whatever sort of psychology / human dynamic thing that is, that some people are just like good at it. But I don't know. Maybe there's some course out there to teach you how to be so jackass.
Yeah. Yeah, it's taught by Tekashi 69.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. Just an I got a random thing I was wondering what you thought about, but
Okay.
it's based around the greatest rapper of all time, Kanye West.
Okay.
And and I would like, do you know, like I don't know, it just seems very evident nowadays, like when there's an artist that's like bipolar or fucking
Yeah.
you know, just like a bit because everyone's so in everyone's shit, like, you know, you could see like TikToks of Britney Spears.
Oh, really?
Like, wow, she's lost her like she's like fully like gone. And,
Okay.
you know, but like I assume back in the old Hollywood days, they would just kind of like, you know, you could just hide that. Like, you didn't have social media, so like,
Right.
who knows who was crazy back then? But you know, things like Kanye being Kanye, where you and I was having this discussion with my brother about like is there something about that personality that like can create good artwork? And is it based around, because I had this idea that, like, you know, I have like people in my family that have bipolar. So like I know that they're a bit fearless. Like say if they have an idea to, like, you know, I don't know, carve stars into tomatoes and convince themselves that that's the greatest thing of all time, they'll do that shit. And they'll do it for like, and they'll show you as if like it's this magical thing, and you're like, cool, yeah, that's all. You know what I mean? So like, if you can match like that, I don't know, belief in yourself, or not, I don't know what the fuck to call that, with like actual skill, does that allow you to create something that's actually really, really good?
Yeah, I think there's something to that. Because I think that, there's probably a lot of people who self-censor in a way that, like, I don't know enough about bipolar people. I imagine that there's like this lack of ability to even do that.
I mean, probably when they're manic too, it's just like they're just so courageous in their,
Right.
what they're doing,
Right.
and unstoppable in their beliefs or actions. You know, so
Right. And I don't know, maybe it's partly kind of parallel with the whole like
what we're talking
think
about.
like a child kind of
Oh.
thing, where it's like it's not really that you're like supposed to like think like a kid, but it's more like you're not supposed to have those inhibitions when creating.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think that there's probably something to that. Like, it's probably so rare because that intersection of like the discipline to actually like be skilled in that way
Right.
with that like lack of inhibition is, but I guess Kanye kind of has that, right? Like,
Right. So that's the wonder is like if you're able to like because being bipolar, you can get it later in your life. So
Yeah.
like you can establish like the skill set and then get a mentality that can achieve something great. If you're like, where like the ordinary person might be more fearful to take these risks, might be fearful to even like not have a day job or some, you know what I mean? It's like,
right. But there's got to be a balance there, right? Because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but haven't people been like, Kanye's past few projects have been pretty much like what, like,
yeah, his, but like a year or two ago, he did like everyone's out. He did like 6 or 7 albums, like back to back to back to back. And like he did Pusha T's, and that shit was fire. And I was like, holy fuck, he's a goddamn beast at like producing quality music. Like everyone under the Good Music record label, he did, I think it was Pusha T, Kid Cudi, I forget who else I don't know if he did Big Sean, but like all of them were very good quality albums.
Okay.
And they like set a weird standard because he was like, we're doing 6 songs in an album, we're not doing 18 song albums anymore. And then that became like a industry standard where everyone's like, yeah, no one wants to listen to fucking 18 songs and make 6 hitters and you're good. And it was all Kanye like fucking leading the way on that shit. So it's like, I don't know, like, and there was like moments of genius on his project in that year too. And I was like, fuck, I don't know how to explain that. You know what I mean? Because he's also a fucking billionaire now, like somehow magically. So like, I don't know. It becomes this weird thing where you're like, is that like craziness? How much of his craziness is responsible for his success?
yeah.
And those others that have it as well, you know?
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm kind of remembering like, what's the guy who was in that Struggle documentary? Like,
yeah.
like he was crazy in his own way too.
For sure.
And yeah, it's like how much of that is responsible for that too.
Right.
And it is like, to me, it seems like in a weird way, ego gets involved there too, where like I don't even know if it looks like, if it's just like self-assurance that just comes off as ego to everyone else.
Well, it's like that. I always wonder, like, there's like that, like if you just say that you're great, how much of that becomes true because of that? You know what I mean? Like, like if say like if like this goes back to like being a pseudonym or some shit, like that whole like idea, like if every fucking time I hopped on the mic I was like, I'm the fucking like a Monty or some shit, where you're just like, I'm the fucking greatest artist alive, you know? Like how much of that like bleeds into the minds of everyone around you and then becomes like this weird self-fulfilling prophecy where it's like at the end of the day the art is gonna be the art. Like everyone's fucking like there's so many great artists, but like when you see someone like a Kanye or someone just keep telling everyone they're great. Then all of a sudden, it's like this weird hypnotist move where everyone's like, he's great. And you're like, I don't know if he's even great or not. I just,
Right.
here's my money. Well,
Yeah. But that to me is more like a glitch in the human system.
right. Yeah.
Like rather than it actually being an objective truth that you say you're great, then you actually become great.
But there's like, you ever watch those like VH1 documentaries or whatever? There's so many times I think about those nowadays where I go, like, for some reason, I like this artist after the documentary. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
the music's not that great. I don't really give a and like, how much of that documentary is bullshit?
Okay.
It's just like this weird, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like
Like who's an example of that? Can you think off the top of your head?
fuck, I don't know. God, I can't think right now.
Is it not even rappers? Is it-
Or like, here's a good example. Like the fucking. Have you watched the Michael Jordan documentary on Netflix?
I want to, but no, I haven't yet.
Oh, we should definitely get into that. But holy fuck, great document. And this goes back to like a human being who believes in himself so much,
Right.
to the point that like you could argue that that's the reason he was as great as he was.
Okay.
But watching that documentary, all of a sudden you start fucking like loving all these people more. You're like, God
Okay.
damn, I have so much more appreciation for Scottie Pippen than I ever had.
Okay.
Or for Dennis Rodman, or for the other fucking bulls who like weren't as big, you know?
Right.
And you start, and then there's like the general manager of the team, and you start hating that motherfucker.
Right, yeah.
And you go like, fuck that guy. I don't fuck with him.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, and it's very much the intent of the documentary for you to feel these certain feelings. You know, like
Yeah.
they present these people in a certain light, and they present the GM in a certain light. And by the end of it, you're like, fuck the GM. Everyone else there is fucking awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but at the end, I mean, it's much more complicated than that, right? Like, like if I interacted with Michael Jordan and he blew me off, I might think he's a fucking asshole.
Right.
But that might not be true either. You know, we have the PC story I have from back then.
Right.
Where it's like I was having a conversation with someone, and then someone wanted to talk to me, and because I was in the middle of a conversation that I was super interested in, that person thought I was a piece of shit. You know,
Right.
it's like, all right, sorry, like, sorry I didn't like pause my life for you,
Right.
but peas up, by the way. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this. Just
that that I don't what do you call that? Just drive to
I don't even know if it's drive. It's the ability to represent yourself as being good at your craft.
okay. Yeah.
I think
that
you
makes
know,
sense.
Like, I think most of us as artists, we're so fucking timid. We're so like, I kind of suck. We're so self-deprecating
Right.
that like maybe if we all just were like, I'm fucking I'm good. Yeah, like I'm fucking dope.
Yeah.
Maybe all of a sudden that'll be more beneficiary to our career, and maybe even our work than
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's more of like how we want to present ourselves to other artists even,
right.
because it is a thing where like artists can kind of see that in each other where we're like, oh, well, you're not actually that dope.
Right.
So it's like, well, I didn't think I was that dope. So let me tell you things to make sure that you don't think I'm like
Right.
more dope than I am. But
And it's funny because if you listen to comedians talk about each other, they always call each other the fucking best and the greatest. You know what I mean? Even though they all talk,
yeah,
you know, there's like some shit talking and yada yada, but like there's that like they all big up each other rather
Right.
than the opposite.
well, not necessarily. Well, kind of. Well, it seems like there's a difference between like East Coast comedians and West Coast comedians in that way.
Yeah. And who's more successful?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Tom Segura's buying like $3 million mansions, and Mark Norman's like, I live in a tiny apartment. It's like, yeah, you're a great fucking comedian.
That's a good
You
point.
know, like maybe it's that fucking the inability to like know that in yourself. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess there's more like crabs in a bucket mentality in New York when it comes to all that. I guess there's kind of that in the art world.
For sure.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. That actually reminded me a little bit of Vanessa and I were talking yesterday about like people when they come up to you, like if you're painting outdoors or whatever, and they come up to you and they want to interact with you in some way because they see it in a different, like visual artists especially get seen in a different light than even like musicians. Like,
Right.
like unless a musician is really good, you if they're like just playing on the street,
Right.
you don't really pay them that much of mind.
Right.
But because there's no real frame of reference as to like what's good visual art for most people, just the act of you being on the street gives you like I don't know, it elevates you in some weird way compared to like the average person. So they always be like, oh, you know, like it either they compliment you for even just showing up and being there, or they kind of make it about themselves where they're like, oh, one of these days or like I would love to do that one day or something like that.
I used to do paint back in the day. I used to draw or something like that.
Yeah, or like, oh, one day I'll pull out my paints again. Yeah. So I guess in some ways we're at an advantage because we're less focused on in like popular culture than musicians are, because I mean pretty much everyone listens to music. Not everybody looks at art or looks at paintings and stuff.
Yeah.
So in that way we can be more like, I don't know, what's the difference between or what's the opposite of self-deprecating?
Big upping.
Yeah, we could be more big uppy.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think it probably would benefit artists if we were more like, these artists are dope. I mean, you don't want to be a fucking cocky asshole who's like, I'm greatness. But like, all I'm saying is that like, if you look at a lot of extremely successful people, all of them have this like, this ability to talk about how great they are in a way that I'm like, I don't even fucking understand that.
Because it's such like a foreign concept to you to talk about yourself in that way.
Right.
Yeah.
The great thing
likewise.
about rap music is that it's all about that.
Right.
You're the fucking dopest artist alive. Like, you know, it's so competitive in like a very, I think, good way.
Yeah. I thought about that sometimes, like why people gravitate towards those kinds of lyrics. I think it's not even that like you think the rapper is like the greatest person ever. Right. It's more that like you it gives you like a fantasy way to kind of put yourself into that position. Sure. And like the best person, like the people who are like the best at that seem to be like the people who are.
You feel no cooler than when you're driving down the road listening to some fucking rap music. It's just like, you're like, I am a bad motherfucker. And my name is Sergio Lopez.
I am Rick Ross. I do want lobster in my, I don't know, lobster in my cereal, whatever the fuck he says.
Yeah. But yeah, by the way, that fucking Jordan documentary, so good. Like, if you want to talk about, like, if you want to, like, see someone and how they can almost, like, how they can manipulate themselves in order to be successful, to me, it's, like, extremely interesting. It's, like, because at the end of the day, here's the thing. At the end of the day, no one really gives a fuck about how you get there. If you are extremely successful at what you do,
Right.
they just give a fuck about that.
Right.
So like if
They'll like reverse engineer or try to afterwards.
yeah, and then you can just present how you got there, however the fuck you want.
Sure.
But like the ability to, I do this a little bit. Like for instance, in my head, I always think there's someone out there outworking me.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it makes me work hard. Like I'm always thinking that. I'm always like, I need to get in my fucking studio and work hard. I need to get like, I need to do these things because there's someone out there who's outworking me, who's more successful. And I have like moments in my head of like even like John Wentz, like leaving an art show early or something.
Yeah.
And fucking John Wentz out there working hard. Or like other artists, you know,
Sure.
and like leaving a party that I think is super fun. And then I have these like people in my head and I'm like, they're outworking me. I need to fucking work harder. Like, and it's this mental trick I play on myself to just motivate me to get in the fucking studio and work, especially on days that I don't want to work. And Michael Jordan is just, he takes it to like the extreme level, which is
Right.
like, is so interesting to me because he'll do things like where he's like, oh yeah, this fucking guy said this thing, like he's talked this shit, yada yada yada, and then like he said this to me, and then and then they're like, did he say it? And he's like, oh no, I made it up. But he'll like, that's his motivation to work
Interesting.
as hard as he possibly can to beat this person. But it's all just like a thing that he is lying to himself in order to give him the motivation to do what he needs to do. I
Right.
mean, David Goggins, don't know if you're like familiar with him.
Is he he's like a long distance runner or something like that? Yeah.
He's like the first person to be like Navy SEALs and like special forces and
Oh,
like
okay,
Ranger,
sure,
like Army
sure.
Ranger or some shit like that. Or the only, I don't know if he's the only person, but I think he was the first, not the only. But he's like this fucking psychopath of a human being. But like when you hear him like do interviews and he talks about how he gets to where it's all like him just kind of lying to himself or knowing how to motivate himself by watching fucking Rocky movies or some shit, you know. It's like it's just like to get the ball rolling. You know, and then when you're in, everyone knows when you're like in your studio painting, then it's fucking cake. You know, like it's all about like getting over that that initial, like, especially if you're going to work on like a big piece or something like that. It's that initial like, fuck, this is going to be tough, or I don't want to get here.
Right.
Oh, I don't have enough time right now to do it. Like whatever. To like, once you get past that and you're in your studio painting, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that was fun. Oh, that was great. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just paying attention to how psychopaths become successful.
Is David Goggins the guy who
He's like, eat your Cheerios, motherfucker.
Oh, okay.
They told me I couldn't eat. I just saw like his Instagram post recently where he was like, he's like, my girlfriend tried to throw in toothpaste. I was like, roll that bitch out. You got a week left on that.
That's hilarious.
He's like, they told me I couldn't succeed, that I would fail. He's like, there's more. He's like, you in your life, you got to roll out more toothpaste tube. You know, like you got more in the tube. You got to squeeze all that shit out as much as you got. It's like, but yeah, I mean, it's motivational for sure. But
Does it actually motivate you, or does it?
No, that doesn't motivate.
Yeah.
It's just hilarious
Yeah.
to me. But like what I take from it is like how he thinks is much more useful. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like the rhetoric he's saying to you is whatever, but the ability
Right.
to like tell yourself some shit to get shit done, that's way more useful. And when you start paying attention to like crazy people like Kanye West thinking he's the greatest, or fucking Michael Jordan telling himself someone talks some shit just so he can get what he needs done, and fucking David Goggins talking about toothpaste, and all these people when you see how these successful people kind of like will themselves to be successful, and how much of it is like a mind fuck of like, I can't let the like little bit of like, oh God, not today, I'm gonna be lazy or whatever, like fuck with me. I have to just like trick my brain at that point and be like, you know, fucking John Wentz is leaving parties early, motherfucker. you better go.
I'm eating Taco Bell. Sergio's out there painting it.
But yeah. The rhetoric doesn't do me any good. It's just like noticing when you see great people and you see kind of how they get there. That's the more interesting, useful shit to me.
Right.
Yeah.
How long ago did you watch that Jordan documentary?
Last week, I think.
Oh, okay.
I was like, when I was watching it, I was like, God damn, this shit is so good. I was like, I gotta talk about it.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, I know that came out like months ago during like. It was like one of the.
Yeah.
After Tiger King, it was like the next big thing that came out.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if you watched it then.
No, people talked about it, and I was like, oh, I should probably check it out. And then I watched one episode, and I was like, hooked. I was like, God damn, these motherfuckers. It's just the ability. I don't know. I think I talked about this last time, maybe, where I was like, I just really enjoy watching people do what they do. Like when people are like really into like if someone's really into painting or some shit or I don't know, making beats. I think maybe that's what I was talking about or whatever. Or, even fucking people who are super into like pottery or some shit or like, I don't know. When people geek out, metalworking, woodworking, whatever it is, when you see someone that like does something and pushes themselves and does something great and has like a good work ethic and yada yada, it's like, I don't care what art form you're doing. I enjoy seeing that shit because everyone has a very similar mentality when it comes to that shit.
Yeah, totally.
And for the most part, it's to be as good as you can be at what you're doing.
Right.
And and then when you try to hyper focus on like the greats and how they do things, like fucking Michael Jordan, then you realize like he was probably as good as a lot of the players he was playing with. He just had this like mental strength that no one else had.
Right.
You know, and that was what separated him from the rest of them. And then when it comes to that, then you go, fuck, that's, you know, that's super interesting and
right.
Learning his tricks.
Yeah, I always feel like I probably get more out of parallel kind of thinking in that way, where it's like out of my genre that I know about, but I can kind of extrapolate the same sort of like mentality and focus that you need to be a really good artist. But like when we were talking about Kobe Bryant after he died, that whole like Mamba mentality thing that he had, it's probably a lot of it came from like what he learned from like watching and playing with Jordan too. But like a lot of that, it's kind of what you were saying, like outwork the next person, and that just all kind of comes from that. And you can see that basically in any genre, like chefs even do that. Like I remember a long time ago there was this suggested donation where this guy who makes pizza and he was like obsessed with like how to like make the best dough or whatever, like how to find the best yeast, and just shit like that. It's like for some reason that hits home with me more than just listening to another painter a lot of the time.
For sure. Well, painters, we just suck at talking. I mean, to be honest, like for the most part, we're pretty bad at talking. We all want to know about dumb shit, like what pencil we were using. It's like all that kind of shit that's like not that useful, you know. But like when it comes to talking about like things like business, is like that's super useful. Things like how to like fucking grow your art scene as like, you know, like the community, understanding that that's a huge benefit to everyone. Things like that, they're like really important for your art world to be successful and to be respected and to be, all these things that we all kind of want as artists, is like it becomes like a thing where you have to understand, first of all, that like the whole like bigging up of people, like that's huge. Like all of us, like understanding that the people are fucking amazing at shit, and hopefully the world can see that too, especially when you see people who are great at what they do. All these like things is like, but we get bogged down by things like, I don't know, like what's the secret to painting, when it's really just fucking learning the techniques, learning as many fucking techniques as you can, and then using your problem solving ability to implement those techniques when it either achieves what you're looking for or creates an interesting thing that no one else is doing or that is rarely done, or you know what I mean? It's like, and that just comes from hard work, and that's it. Like that's it. Like you want to learn a technique, all right, do it a bunch.
Right.
Like learn what the technique is, and then do it a bunch. Then after you fucking learn it, then know when to implement it, and don't fucking, be stagnant and shit. But
Right.
But other than that, it's like, okay, now you're good at art. Okay, have fun being broke. Because we suck at like the talking, big upping each other, and like, because we suck at talking. So like, like a chef talking about something. For some reason, chefs are way better at explaining it than we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe that's because they have to communicate with other people. And
yeah, maybe. And that's probably a lot of what it is. Huh?
Yeah. And, things like that, we're like, we just suck at that shit. We're a very singular sport.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know.
I guess in that way, teaching people is a benefit. They always talk about like,
Sure.
oh, you learn a lot from teaching other people, because it's one of those things where you have to learn how to communicate what you do.
Yeah. Or maybe get someone needs to become a Joe Rogan of the art world. Because holy fuck, it's like, if you ever heard fighters talk, they're a goddamn bunch of idiots. Not really idiots, but like they're like artists. They're so like, if you listen to Joe Rogan explain why their sport is great, you're all convinced this shit is great. Like he makes you understand how interesting the thing is. But and to a certain like us as artists, we relied on the galleries to be our Joe Rogan.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think they fucking failed us, to be honest, at least a lot. And, communicating with a lot of galleries, you realize how little they understand what good is. And that's because they might be passionate about art to an extent, but they're not fucking crazy Joe Rogan guy that like, obsesses about shit. To the point where he understands, even though he's not really at the highest level of fighting, he can have a huge passion and love and understanding of the thing he's explaining. And we just don't have that shit.
Yeah, that's true. You are that man, Joshua.
I'm not that man at all. No, I wish someone.
Who do you think is the closest to that?
I honestly don't know if it exists.
Yeah. I guess in some ways, well, I wouldn't say close to this, but like Nicholas Uribe is pretty good at talking about art in a way that makes sense to a lot of people, but he's mostly talking to other artists though.
Right.
Like David Cho is a really entertaining speaker in ways.
There's
but
another psychopath.
Yeah.
Let's talk about crazy.
Yeah. Did you listen to the episode? But yeah, like I really enjoyed when he was doing his podcast, but yeah, he's extreme probably in the other way.
Yeah. He's I don't know. By the way, what did you think of that episode?
He seems like he's calmed down a lot more since I last listened to him.
Some calm. Maybe I never listened to his podcast.
Oh, okay. Well, it was off the rails.
So like
it was ridiculous.
When listening to that episode, David Cho on Joe Rogan. If anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, holy fuck, that guy's like, there's a weird thing where I don't know if because he's an LA person.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of it like is him acting or like, like.
Oh, he's definitely like, I feel like performing a little bit in some ways.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a little bit like I had to go and watch the videos to see if he was actually crying.
Oh.
I was like, I think he's like bad fake crying.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just listened to it, so I didn't get the videos.
Yeah. I just listened to it too, and then I went and fucking watched moments where he was talking about Anthony Bourdain to see like, is he really fucking crying here? Like, I can't tell if this is acting or real.
Oh.
And then so I went and watched that part and was like,
still can't tell.
I just thought he wasn't fucking crying. I was like, he doesn't look like he's really crying.
Oh.
It's like that, like, I don't know, there's no tears, there's no like even watering of the eyes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, to me it was like, I think he's fake. I think he's acting a bit. But yeah, I don't know. David Cho's he seems like a full-on crazy person in like many levels.
Oh, yeah. I would say so.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of issues.
yeah, but I don't know what he does to like explain how great art is.
Well, no, he really doesn't. I just mean like that charisma.
Yeah.
Like if you put that into somebody who was like, that was their thing that they were trying to do.
Right.
I mean, I don't know, like maybe even like a Neil deGrasse Tyson of art.
Yeah. Like for instance, Anthony Bourdain, right? Like he made a show, and a lot of people started appreciating cooking because of his show.
Right.
Because if you watch it, he, although probably not being the greatest chef,
right,
can explain things that make you appreciate certain cultures, certain foods, kind of makes you want to go explore for yourself and taste these things, you know? Where like, I would be very surprised if David Cho started an Anthony Bourdain version of a show. I would be surprised if it was art related almost at all.
Right.
Like I would be surprised if it was, and if he touched on the art world even in the slightest bit, because for some reason, I don't know why, it just doesn't happen. You know, like at this point, David Cho seems like he's an entertainer,
right,
who does artwork, who made the bulk of his money painting doodles on Facebook.
Right.
Which is, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, he definitely has a love for like the artists he likes, I like. So I like that bit. Like if he was to do a document or like a series like Anthony Bourdain and around art, I would be surprised if there wasn't too many artists that I thought were like great that he had on. But I don't know if that would be the case. Either way.
Yeah, sorry, you're the garbage truck. I just like distracted.
Did you want to do the elbow thing?
Yeah. What's the elbow
They're
thing?
like, unk.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I think you're right about that. Like, he doesn't seem that into the art world in a way where it's like he wants to actually like big up a lot of people, like you said.
Right. Like he doesn't want to present it in a way where people understand it more, where they get eager about it, where they fucking try to go explore it for themselves. There's none of that. There's just, I am David Cho, look at me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which I just am like, I don't. Hopefully that doesn't become the representation of art, of the art world that we're a part of.
Right.
Whatever. I don't know. I don't know who the fuck's to do it, but hopefully they're cool and hopefully they like my work. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're super stoked on what I'm doing.
Right. Well, you're almost at 100,000 followers, so you'll probably attract the attention of some folks here.
That number is all, after you pay for 90,000, you know what I mean?
Is that what I'm doing wrong? Is that why I'm stuck at 24K?
It's funny because I feel like I'll like talk to artists and they always like, they'll drop that sometimes. And I'm like, oh, you think I bought my followers? Like,
Oh, really?
they're like, oh, so like, did you like buy them? Or like, and I'm like, no, I didn't. Just treated them like pieces of shit.
Yeah. It's funny, like, you went one way, Heather went the other way, and you guys are at the same level, or at the same number.
I don't treat them all like pieces of shit. Just some.
Just some, yeah.
But yeah. Yeah. So start, saying you're the greatest if you're listening out there.
Yeah. We'll decide if you are or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you want to do some meme shit or what?
Yeah. Speaking of, yeah. Judging people online.
Speaking of Jordan crying.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you send them to me already?
No, I'm not. I was just going to send them as we go.
I see.
There's way too many to try and
Okay.
send them all to you.
All right.
So, what we wanted to do, if you listened to the last episode, we were talking about like the World on Fire meme and why it was not good, and and like one of the ideas he had was take a bunch of art memes and kind of judge them, see if they're good or bad.
Yeah.
So I went on and just kind of did the art meme hashtag and see what came up, and I mean there were a lot of overlaps. But, I mean, I found a few. Tried to not just find the ones that I thought were maybe funny or not.
Oh, so we can talk some shit?
Yeah, well, we'll see. So, there seems to be kind of a theme to a lot of these, but I'm sure it will
It'll present itself.
present itself, yeah. First one, I don't know, I guess we could try and explain what's happening. So, it's
All right.
From Understanding Artists. Someone, OMG, you art so good. Can you draw me? Me, yes, but it will cost you some money.
Oh, right.
Someone, someone says your art is not even good. Why would I pay you? In the picture, it says me, and the picture is like this weird bird guy, and he kind of
almost looks like an egg with eyeballs and a beak.
Right, and the thing says, "Listen here, you little shit."
Yeah, I mean, that's a great meme because it's so fucking like every artist knows this feeling. Like,
Right.
Even if you're like at a very low level in your
Right.
art career.
And it seems like that happens to low level artists more,
Yeah.
where people expect you to do things for free because you're not really charging a lot
Right.
for it in the first place.
Yeah. God, that's the worst. I hate that shit. I hate when people are like, "Hey, you paint right." When they say, "Hey, you paint right,"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Can we just fast forward this conversation
Yeah.
to 5 minutes from now when you're upset at me?" Because I'm like, not gonna do it. You're a little special child. You know what I mean?
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. When people ask you for commissions.
It should be when people go like, "Hey, you paint right," the artist's response should be, "Your child's not special." That should just be the first thing you say. Your child's not special.
Yeah.
And they go, "What?" And you go, "Keep going." And then they're like, "Well, my kids." And then you're like, "Well, you know then, right?"
Yeah. All right, next one is also an Understanding Artist one. It's okay. Okay, I'll just send it to you.
You should have just sent them all before we started searching. I wouldn't have peeked. Scout's honor, although never a scout, but I get I feel like I know their honor. Like
So mainly, this is a carousel post, but it's mostly for the first one. Says, yes, exactly. And it's that meme where it's the guy looking back at the girl and the girlfriend is
Jealous.
pissed at it. Yeah. It's
Yep.
And so, yeah, the guy is saying me. He's looking at somebody saying new project. And so it's like a row of the jealous girl saying every other project I've been meaning to find time for. I relate to that.
Do you?
Yeah, in some ways.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm so like organized in my mental ability to do projects like in order. I'm doing this one, and then I'll have like my next one kind of like I'll start it like when I'm close to finishing the other one. You know, but I'll for some reason I keep things like, this one's done. Check. Next. MJ's very much like what you like. She likes to start a shitload of projects.
Well, it's not even that I like to start them. I just, my motivation for seeing a project all the way through, like wanes pretty quickly. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I haven't quite figured out what I'm trying to do with my art still at this point.
You got to become Andy Warhol. You got to just be like, I'm the idea guy.
Yeah.
You guys do the work for me.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. But I get it, though. I totally get that idea because it is fun to like start new things and to like think of those ideas and yada, yada, yada. So, I don't know. I mean, I get it. My brain luckily doesn't work that way because that can lead to some real fuckery. Like MJ is like, I think she had like 10 drawings on wood panel. And I'm like, you need to put some paint on these bitches.
Right.
What the fuck are you doing? Stop trying to start some new shit.
Right.
And I'm not saying it polite either. I'm saying it just like that. And she has like that issue where she's just like, new thing. She's always like, can you make this panel for me? Can you make this wood panel for me? I'm like, you have like 8 there that are just drawings. Like, what are you talking about? You don't need a new wood panel.
Right. Oh, so was that a good or bad meme?
I get it. I mean, it's not for me, but I get it. I don't mind there's very common like art things that a lot of artists do. We all procrastinate and things like that. Like, there's a lot of like bad habits we can point at and laugh at. Yeah. Yeah. So far, so good. I mean, they're definitely true.
So the next one is when I update my commission prices, and it's a guy in front of it's a guy at a liquor store or whatever. And there's a sign that says, please don't say damn when you hear the price.
I can't even relate to this one, but it's funny. I mean,
yeah. I think that happens more with like, I don't know, digital artists or people who do more fan art and stuff.
Right.
Who rely on commissions for their living, really.
Comic book people and stuff like that. Yeah. That makes sense.
All right. Okay. I guess this is one I've seen in different ways, but how to be good at art. And it's this kid holding a package and you can only see the front of it.
Right.
And then he
turns like a tiny gift.
Yeah. So you turn to the size. It's practice. And it's this long ass thing there. And
I wonder what pencil's in that.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those cartoon pencils.
Yeah. Because that's really it's not practice. It's the pencil in the box that gives you all the answers.
Yeah, exactly.
As we all know.
Yeah. It's that secret you're not telling these people. Why won't you do it for once and for all? Okay.
Here's the truth. You got to go to this like deep dark forest and there'll be a pencil and it's lodged into a rock.
Yeah. And
if you're the chosen drawer or whatever, you grab the pencil and you pull it and it comes out. And if not, then you fucking, and you don't get it.
Right. Sort of.
All right.
Yeah. Pencil in the stone. Next one, me waiting for art block to be gone. And it's that scene in Saving Private Ryan at the end where Matt Damon kind of morphs into the old Matt Damon.
Wait, what does art block mean?
Like, like writer's block, but for art.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I always call it painter's block.
Yeah.
Art block. I was like, is that some technique that I don't know about?
Yeah. No, it's basically writer's
me
block.
waiting for art block to be gone. Do you suffer from painter's block at all, or art
Not
block?
really, no. I feel like I've diversified myself enough where if I feel like I'm getting, it's not even that I feel like I can't come up with an idea. It's more that like
Bored?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm bored of the ideas I have and just like haven't found something to replace it yet. But I mean, that's the advantage of like feeling all the time like I need to like study and get better and do more of that.
Right.
Because I can just like fall back on, okay, I'll just draw a hand or whatever, paint a taco.
Right.
And, that will take the place of that while I don't know, figure out something that maybe is more substantial, I guess.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, at this point, if
What
I ever feel
happens-
some sort of art block, it's just because I haven't like put enough time into like the mental prep part of it, really.
Yeah. But what happens when you've gone through the whole Taco Bell menu and the Crunchwrap Supreme
Yeah.
is painted, and now you're like, now who am I?
Right.
Am I now just Cinnamon Twist?
Then you move on to I don't know, McDonald's or
Yeah, I've never had a lack of ideas. I've had a lack of time more than anything.
right.
So I don't get that I don't get like painter's block. I do get like in like moods where I'm like, I don't want to paint it all right now. I want to draw or fucking even make wood panels or something.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, for me, there's always something to do. Like I'm not at a lack of things to do.
Yeah. For sure.
Like if I really want something to take up my time, I'll just like film a video, edit that. That will just take up pretty much all your free time.
Yeah, I agree.
Next one. Okay, this one's from @ArtsLaugh, and it's my parents when I become an artist, and it's like a picture of like some one of those Mario turtles, and it just says "You have sinned."
Wait. My parents. This meme kind of sucks.
Right.
But I mean, it's just not that funny. So
Right.
It's not doing. But yes, yeah. I mean, in a weird way, have never had the disappointed parents. I think my mom never wanted me to be an artist for sure.
Mhm.
She was like, you should go to school.
Right.
But like, she'd never put like pressure on me.
Mm-hmm. To not be or to be something else. Or,
Yeah. She never told me I mean, she'll like say something like on it, she'll like meet a fucking mechanic and be like, she's like, you should be a mechanic that
Right.
day.
Right. Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
You should be a mailman. Whatever. But like, but she never like put too much pressure on me. We were too like rowdy, and there was fucking 6 of us, and
Yeah.
and I graduated high school. I think I'm out of 6 of us, I was the first to graduate high school like on time without any issues. So she was like patting me on the back. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah, like, we were a bunch of fucking wild people.
Mm.
So, yeah, I never got that, but I mean, I see it. I know friends, I know you.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very common like thing a shitload of us artists share. I'm sure MJ's parents definitely pressured her to be I think they wanted her to be a fucking architect or some shit.
Oh, really?
Some
How
shit.
funny.
Like, she started going to school for it too, and she was like, "This shit is not for me."
Right.
But yeah, yeah, so,
Yeah. It's definitely something people can relate to.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily. I didn't have. I think my experience with my parents was way closer to yours than like them ever actually pressuring me not to be something else.
right.
I think at this point they're like, well, like they see me still, living at home, being like, "Did you fail at this or what?"
But yeah, I think the
Not
meme's
yet.
not good because it's not funny.
Right.
There's good
Like there's better probably ways to present that same meme.
for sure.
Let's see, what's the next one? Oh yeah, this one's weird because it has a term that I was not familiar with. So it's a painting of the famous from Predator, right, where Arnold and Carl Weathers grab hands.
Fucking,
Yeah,
the
you
coolest
son
like
of a-
man shake,
yeah. It's
man handshake, or
right.
it's the equivalent of two anacondas fighting each other. If you want to like imagine this thing and some sweet biceps,
Yeah.
some nice toy t-shirts.
Right, exactly. I used to have that on here. Guess it's gone.
Yeah, what's hollering mean?
Yeah, so I guess this is a way that people talk about coloring on the internet sometimes in these whole art meme circles. There's like those weird terms. Sometimes like I'm trying to think of like what's a good example of it, but
It's like yeet for like World Star or some shit.
I think so, yeah.
That means you threw some shit like yeet.
Something like that. It's more like it's a mistype that is so common that it becomes a way to talk about like gosh, I know there's like a really popular example of that, but it's basically like it's kind of a way to like
autocorrect fuck ups type things.
kind of. It's like if it didn't autocorrect, like, but I think they mean it in an ironic way where it's like good coloring, and it means like it's not good coloring.
But
But
like fucked up.
yeah,
I see.
so I don't know. I don't think it's a good meme just because it barely makes sense, but it was just something that I wanted to bring to your attention. This whole coloring thing that I started coming up.
Yeah, I can't insert my brain into like I can't insert art lingo from the internet into my brain to understand. It's like on Reddit, I'm not I don't play video games at all.
Yeah.
So, and on Reddit, they have on the popular page, they have a ton of like video game memes or whatever. And I'm always like, I don't know if this is funny or not. I don't get your joke. So yeah, I think you stopped listening to me. Sorry.
Sorry, I was looking for the next.
Like, I should just try to slip in things at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not somewhat okay. This one's from @ArtFashions. In the picture, it's two pictures. It says, "Every time an artist dies, God lets them paint the sky." But the funny part to me was it's kind of like a Tumblr thread happening where somebody says, "Can't wait for my turn. I'm gonna paint dicks." And there goes the moment. It's the next thing.
Comments are always the best part of shit. I swear to God. I mean, the comment is way better than memes, and also the picture of the sky isn't that great.
Yeah, it's not.
It's like
There are way better sunsets out in the world.
yeah, that person, that artist that painted this guy must have been like one of those drinking paint, like the wine and paint
Right.
classic people.
Yeah.
Where they're like, tree silhouette, like put a fade and then a tree silhouette, and that's artwork. Everyone can do it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to fake listen to me, Sergey.
No, I heard you. Put the fade in the.
It's like, yeah. That was a minute ago. I said that, Sergio. A minute. There was a lot of dead air before you laughed.
It just takes me time to catch up.
Comprehend.
Yeah.
That was a very complicated joke you said there. Why I oughta.
Okay, next meme then. From my.art.memes. Yeah, like that's another thing I noticed. A lot of these art meme places or art meme profiles kind of share the same memes. And so this one is when you can't draw the body right and strategically places pens. And then the kid at the end says, now no one can tell. Much swag, much skill. It says, because I totally use markers in an all pencil sketch. I don't know.
The last little bit wasn't funny.
Right. Like
they didn't need the last image. They could have just done the 3.
Right.
And then you're good.
Right.
That's the problem with like when you listen to comedians say joke, the best part is that they know you can fill in the rest. And that's kind of the payoff is that you get the joke.
Right.
So it's like you don't need someone to be like, and I use markers and I did this. And then you're like, not funny.
Right. It's like you did, what would you call it? Like over tagging a joke.
Yeah. But yeah, the funny thing too is that you can tell that someone, whoever drew the thing for the meme, can really draw. They just tried to draw shitty. You know?
Right.
They're like, I can't draw bodies. Like you can draw a body. I can tell you can draw a body. You're lying.
So that's a thumbs down on that meme.
Yeah. What's that fucking? Do you have any of that guy? What's it's like Gary Payton or some shit or like something Picasso. He has like an Instagram.
Does
he do memes or
is it Twitter Picasso?
Maybe. That guy's comedy genius.
I haven't actually looked at his stuff in a while, so maybe we'll pay a visit to him.
Yeah.
All right, next one.
All right.
When Instagram crops your post, and it's this really fucked up looking crop, and it says, "Excuse me, what the FO?" It's just cropped out.
I hate how Instagram fucking crop shit automatically. It makes no sense at all. It annoys the shit out of me.
Yeah.
This meme really speaks to me.
Yeah.
It's so annoying. But yeah. I still wish Flickr became the Instagram. It's so much better.
It's way better quality. And
Way better quality. It's fucking, you can get full-size images. If you want to, there's no like censorship on nudity. So like you don't have to worry if you're painting a nude that you might get flagged.
Right.
You know, like all the like positives I think of Flickr. But
Flickr went through so many changes, though. It's like
the problem is Yahoo owns it.
Yeah,
no fucking problem because Yahoo's a real shit show.
Yahoo's terrible. They destroyed Tumblr as well.
Destroy everything.
They destroyed email.
How do you ruin a company so bad? Like they should be what Google is today, but somehow they just were like, we're doing it.
Right.
And then they failed.
Yeah. It's like, why did Google... It's like they let all these companies from back in the day just let Google become what it is.
Yeah. Because they fucking suck.
Right.
And I hate you, Yahoo, and I still use you as my email, and I hate it.
Do you still use it with
your email? It's the worst. Every time I have to say .yahoo at someone, I'm like, don't judge me. Right. Don't judge me. Or at Yahoo, I mean. All right.
Okay.
How many more we got of these?
I can only do a few more if you're getting sick of them.
The art helps kids.
This one is it looks like a title to a blog post or article or something. It says the arts help kids with math and critical thinking, and then it's Kermit looking around, or it says me, and then it's two pictures. It's Kermit looking around saying, where the maths, and it says I'm calling, and then in the caption it says I'm calling BS.
I think this is hilarious. I love how they made maths plural.
Yeah, that's a popular internet thing, adding plural to to nouns.
Googles or something.
Yeah, exactly. But it's true. I remember when people would be like in school, like, you should be an architect because it combines math and art, and and they really want you to do something with math, but they're like, we'll humor you with your, because you get to draw or something.
I mean, it does do math. There is math in it. Like recently I just painted a figure, and there's one figure in the painting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you count.
She has 10 fingers.
So it helps you with kindergarten level math.
2 legs. You know what I mean? That's math, Sergio. Right. Whether you like it or not, that's math.
That is true.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Let's see. I'll do.
So we're mathematicians. That's what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. We are the best at maths.
Yeah.
This one I thought was kind of funny. Artsy Memers is the account. My friend, when they added one line in the art project, and it shows American flag and like this weird looking Bugs Bunny. And it has, and then my friend, when I did all the work, and it says our project, and it's, the Russian flag, like Soviet Union flag. It's just the same, like taking the credit. We both did it. Like, it's all ours. It's a group effort.
I don't get the sentiment of this meme at all. Like, I don't understand I don't even understand when someone adds. Well, sometimes I help MJ a little bit.
Is it our painting then, or
if
both
I help
your
her?
painting? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's a collaboration.
Yeah. So you're the Soviet Bugs Bunny in that case.
I mean, right now MJ's doing an enamel pin. And I'll tell you right now, I designed it. So if you guys want to buy a Josh Lawyer enamel pin, go to MJ's website.
That's hilarious. Oh my God. Okay, this one.
Good thing MJ won't hear this.
This is the last one. This one might not make sense until you scroll through it. So it's a 3-picture carousel, and it's by Septia CC, and it starts with this weird thing. It says boys can wear dresses too, and you scroll again, it says my nuts itch. It's the same guy in a dress, but then the third one is I think this is from It's Always Sunny, right?
It is.
Yeah. It says it's the Danny DeVito character holding up that picture. It says, I do not like this painting, Charlie. Its smug aura mocks me.
I don't. I mean, it's funny, but I don't know why.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how I thought of it. Like, why is this in the art memes thing? Then I scrolled by. I was like, okay, that made me laugh for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. It was fine. For the most part, I like art memes. And I, going back to the one I like ranted at what was like 2 weeks ago, right?
Right.
It was like, I don't know. It just goes back to like the big upping shit, but whatever. I don't give a shit. It's only a meme. I don't want to take up that much time.
Did you get any feedback from that?
No, not at all. How about you?
No. Well, I mean, Vanessa was like, I don't get why he was so offended by that meme.
I just think artists suck at big upping each other. I mean, it's what it ends up being. We self-deprecate to the point of like ruining business is how I think about it.
Yeah, self-deprecation was definitely a theme in a lot of the memes that I found.
Yeah, and I don't mind like some because it's like you can tell it's only for artists. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's like, oh, I get it because I'm an artist. Totally see. But then when it's like artists being like, buy my painting, then all of a sudden it's like, well, if someone sees that, they'll just read it differently than we probably will.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see what you mean.
Think about it. It's like if I could see kind of like the self-deprecating artist thinking this is funny, but I also see like the fans of artists being like, oh yeah, like I don't know. It's one of those things where like it's like I don't even know if I brought this up last time, but like where the guy said like posting your prices on your website is tacky.
Oh, right.
I remember thinking like that's so dumb because it's like it's such a simple thing to throw out there as if like it means nothing, but then you might influence people, and in my opinion that's always like a dumb thing. Like the whole like secret of business when it comes to art to me is like so stupid.
Right.
And everyone thinks it's like, or a lot of people think it's like a positive, especially if you're one of those artists that are making a ton of money, but what you're doing is kind of like fucking over, or I don't even know if there's fucking too many artists making a ton of money, but what happens is first we don't have a fucking Joe Rogan that can explain what greatness is and what isn't. And then you don't have a fucking, so people can't tell what good is from what mediocre is from what shit is. So then if someone tries to hire an artist and you go, this is the price, and they go, ooh, that's expensive, I think. And then they go to a mediocre or shitty artist, and the shitty artist is like, I'll do it for $50, for $20. And then they go like, okay, cool. And then at the end of the day, they think they got something good, which they didn't. And they don't know that because they don't know what good is. Yeah. And there's no one in our world to explain what good is. So then what it ends up really being is that we don't have a fucking Joe Rogan. So for the most part, artists are the people that explain what good is. Yeah. In our world. Yeah. We are the ones that kind of have to burden that responsibility. You know, whether it be Nicholas Uribe or whoever, if we're not like trying to help people understand that, or even explaining the difference between mediocre, like that's why I like when people are like 10 years difference, you know, it's like they're pointing out shit from good. Right. Much. Yeah. But whenever it's a thing where we're like, look at us being idiots trying to make a living, to me I'm like, to us it might be funny, but if we're the ones responsible to educating like the people who might collect our work, and if most people are doing that on, like most people are seeing art, especially during a pandemic, on Instagram, and we're like, look, the world's on fire and we're just trying to make a living. It's like they might read that in a way that's like not beneficial to someone trying to make a living.
Right. Yeah, I could see your point there.
And that's the thing that like annoys me, where I'm like, like I don't know. It's like it to me it's more damaging than funny. Like but that's my opinion. I mean, people can feel however the fuck they want to feel. But it's our podcast, so I get to rant on it.
Joe Rogan wants to star in our podcast.
Yeah, no one's stopping him. But yeah, how are we on time?
Hour 28.
Hour 28. Did you have something? Because I got some topics if you don't.
I don't know if it. Well, there was topics that I mentioned to you last time when we were talking afterwards. After the podcast, we were talking about kind of figuring out, like, because we're both being full-time artists here at this point, and that whole thing of where, okay, I could spend all this time on a painting that might not sell, but I'm going to price it. So in the case that it does sell, it will make up for the time I spent on it, versus like, you know, doing the like you've been doing like a version of your like lunchtime sketch doodles, and I've been doing my paint drip things, and been like if that was the only thing we were doing, that wouldn't be enough to cover our living cost either.
Right.
So it's like figuring out like how do you even like juggle that? I feel like so many artists kind of are in that position right now too.
Right.
Yeah. I think for me, for a long time, I was just resistant to the idea of even like doing like the low cost stuff. But then I found that like if I was relying so much on galleries, I was relying a lot on them to make all my money for me,
right,
in a lot of ways. And then so then that led to me doing the part-time job as well.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, well now I'm not doing either. So at this point, it's more beneficial to me to even just do those low cost paintings, because at least I'm painting. I'm
right.
Theoretically getting better at painting by doing them, rather than, doing a job that's not really helping me become a better artist either.
Right.
But yeah, especially these days where galleries aren't like taking on a lot of shows right now either. Like, has it become something more important to you lately to do those sketches? Or is it you kind of still feel the same way as you did about them?
Well, I mean, I've never sold them until recently.
Right. But now that you're selling them, do they like take on more of an importance to you?
Not necessarily. I think this goes back to like playing mental games with yourself. Is like trying to fight that like urge to make them feel more special or something, like.
Right.
And I think they're like the last drawing I did, I think I took too much time on this, and I felt a little stiff to me in certain spots, and I was like, it just felt too serious. But that's just like me playing like mental games with myself of like making sure that there's something about like when I'm sketching in a bit less, and that's the trick with like selling work in general. You feel like there's like this obligation, where if I'm in my sketchbook, I don't give a fuck because it's my sketchbook. It's only for me. I'm never going to sell it. So there's like, I don't have to jump over that hurdle, that mental hurdle of like making sure not to make it so precious. And at least in my sketches, I don't feel the same way about when I'm painting, but when I'm sketching, it's to work out ideas, to figure out, little things like that. And I think because of the different thing I'm trying to tackle, they end up having this thing that I like about them that's a little more maybe silly in certain ways, or a little, I don't know. And that's something I'm trying to figure out for sure. But for the most part, I'm definitely trying to make sure that they don't feel like that I need that monetary value to do them, because I'm going to sketch anyways. And and I think if they become that, then I'll probably have to just stop doing it. Just get back to my sketchbook. But yeah, we've talked about this before though, but to anyone trying to become a full-time artist, and thinking the gallery is the main objective, you really have to think about how many paintings you can do in a year, how many paintings you can sell in a year, and then cut that, and then say, okay, how much money do I need to live, and then break that down into the average painting cost, and then figuring out if that's doable or not. And I would be very surprised if most people can survive off of that amount of money. But maybe I'm wrong. But for the most part, I think, at least here in California, especially in the Bay Area, I feel like I'd say like $50,000 is like pretty low, like as far as like how much money you're making a year. And so that means you would have to sell $100,000 in paintings in galleries,
right,
to make that amount of money. And that's that's actually after tax. So you'd
Right.
probably have to sell about 160,000 in galleries to make 50,000 like after tax.
Right.
And there are very few to like none people, at least in the, I mean, there's a handful of people in the art scene that we're a part of that can pull those numbers, but it's rare, and just off of gallery shows. And then
Right.
you start thinking, like, out of those artists, how many also do prints and merchandise and shit? And then you go,
Right.
like, these are artists that are very talented. Like fucking James Jean, he puts out like 2 books a year or some shit, like 4 prints, a ton of merchandise, a little toy sculpture,
Right.
like all these things. No one thinks of him any less, right?
Right.
No one goes like, oh, fucking James Jean sold out. But there's this mentality we have as artists.
Yeah.
You know, this like self-deprecating, judging yourself, don't allow yourself to fucking do things type of mentality that can like make you say, I don't want to fucking do this thing. It's like, if you get like stoked off of doing that shit, who gives a fuck about whatever lane you're in, whatever your brand is supposed to be, yada, yada, yada. You know, it's like,
Right.
I hear double propeller helicopter. We're at war. We're at fucking war. But yeah, I think it, just like you can get convinced to not do something because it might be tacky,
Right.
you can easily pay attention to the artist you respect and realize, hey, if it's done well, if anything you do is done well, people will respect it. And that's one thing I take from James Jean. Everything he does is at a certain level. He keeps the standard of like, if I make a fucking book, I try to do it well. You know, like I try to make sure the printing quality is high.
Right.
Like it's, you know, like a fucking a nice cover, things like that. That like is like a standard that he tries to live by. Sorry to burp.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know how much he puts back into his business to make it as high quality as it is.
Yeah, but it's also like for instance, if you're there's little things like, say if I get like a Rubik's cube, right, and it comes in a box, and the box has a magnet in the little packaging box is like a nice clean white box with like a little magnet.
Okay.
All of a sudden, for some reason, that makes me feel like it's more special.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And that's based on the idea that they took just a little extra time to make sure that the standard of everything they're creating represents who the fuck this Rubik's cube is. And that, if you're an artist and you really appreciate the craft, you should try to think about everything that surrounds what you do in that sort of light, you know, like, because I think that's all that little shit not only represents you in a little way to whoever's purchasing your shit, but it also I think excites like the person that purchases something from you.
Right.
Like James Jean, like creating embossments that are like very unique to him and things like that. You know, like all those little details are just things that excite people for what he's creating. And now he fucking sells prints for like $700 and sells like mountains of them. And you're like, fuck, I mean, it doesn't cost that much to make an embossment, like $200.
Yeah.
And he gets to market it in this great way, and then he gets to make fucking hundreds of thousands of dollars on prints.
Right.
And you're like, good on you, man. Like,
Yeah.
And so fuck, I don't remember what the fucking question was.
Oh, it was more just like, how do you balance like that time you spend on a piece of anything you do versus how much you sell it for?
Right. I remember when we were talking about this before, there was also like, what I'm doing right now with my work is that I'm creating like I'm trying to, every piece I do for the art show, I'm trying to really make sure that these pieces are very like finished pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And then I told you that like I was also going to have like some studies.
Yeah.
And that the difference between the studies and the pieces, I really want to make sure that there is a clear-cut line between what I consider like my work and then what I would consider practice or some shit like that.
Right.
And when you look at the two, I want that to be very evident that like there's a reason why this painting is $6,000 and that study is $400 or $600 or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
There's a very clear reason why there's a huge price jump.
What have you figured out to be able to do that so far?
I think it's at least for me, it's based around effort. It's like
Okay.
It really is like. I mean, a study is like something that I would try to knock out in like a day, you know, and like just something that working out ideas where like the painting is a finished product. That's practice. That's trying to figure out the ideas and reworking them and whatever. By the time I'm working on the painting itself, I want to make sure that like that the outcome, although I'm going to be like exploring things during the painting and figuring things out, I want to make sure that that when you see it, and I think I personally think that it's easy to tell, but I think that it's a complete image of something I'm trying to say by the end of it.
Okay.
Where a study won't have that. A study will have like, you know, maybe a half an idea, half worked out, or even if it's fully worked out, it's just not done to the standard that I think is like of a level that I would consider a finished piece. I mean, you see it all the time with like, you go to like a fucking one of those little like galleries in San Francisco and you see like a Da Vinci sketch or, you know, or some shit like that. Or like, and you're like, oh yeah, that's obviously a sketch or whatever. Or like you might even see paintings and they just are like, oh, that's that person. Oh, I didn't know that. Like, I couldn't tell because it looks not done. And that's because that shit is not their like finished work. You know, it is very much like practice. And that's why that shit's in like a gallery and one of those like fancy-ish galleries in San Francisco rather than like a museum. Right. But yeah, that's another thing. And, you know, like the piece I was working on with all the floral stuff, that one took so long and was so fucking tedious that I don't know how to price that. But at the end of the day, like we've mentioned this before, but it's like, it's especially when it comes to marketing, for me, my thought is that you should try to make hits rather than it's quality over quantity. And so there's something weird to try to like break down in that, as far as like, obviously lunch doodles aren't that, right? And then paint studies aren't that, but then finished pieces are, and then how to like juggle those things of saying like, this is the process from start to finish. I start with sketching, working out ideas, and then painting, and then finish piece. And like where those all fit into place and how to market each one and how to price each one and how to make sure to maximize revenue for like right now for the floral piece, I plan on trying to make my first like lithograph print with the lithograph printer. Oh, wow. And I think I'm going to try to do that one specifically. I'm not 100% committed to that yet because I don't know how to fucking lithograph yet, but
is that something you're doing yourself?
I'm going to try to.
Oh, wow.
I'm supposed to meet with Tony at some point and see if I can pick the brain.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tony Gribaldi. Gadol.
Have that on here. I don't think I do anymore.
But yeah. So that's kind of like me thinking about how to maximize that image of like, okay, so I'll do that, and then I'll hopefully do a lithograph print of it, and then with the idea that a lithograph print I'll sell for more than what's it called? A giclée print.
That's a French ass name.
Croissant.
My little croissant.
But yeah. And then because of how tedious that was, and because I think there's so much line work in it, I think it would look good as a lithograph. So I'm like, all right, well then I'll try to maximize the potential of revenue from this one image, and then use it as much as I can for marketing, because I think it is a very like appealing image. So it's like all these like things that I'm thinking of, which isn't why I created the piece at all. It's just like, that's the whole business mind aspect around it. It's like, which I don't think,
some of those images just come out that way where you just know.
Exactly. And so, and so that's kind of the mindset of like justifying something that might take me way longer, is in like, how can I maximize it on the business mind aspect of it? Is like, all right, can we do something else with it too? If it sells, we make this much money, which isn't great, but it's money. And then can I also make another chunk of money making prints, and then hopefully grow my social media to then sell some more fucking doodles or whatever. So it's like a whole like, everything's a moving part in the scenario, but yeah, that's I don't know, that's what I think about when I think about maximizing time plus cost plus, but because at the end of the day, it's never going to be worth it if you think about it based on like a gallery sale. I think, for the most part.
You mean like if you tried to just do it like the old gallery model?
Yeah. Unless you're selling pieces for like $20,000 each.
Right.
It's never going to be worth it. So you got to figure out how to maximize everything. And understand that there are people out there who can't afford a fucking painting, and that a print to them means a lot.
Right.
And that's totally simple. Or a fucking sticker or some shit, or a t-shirt, or I don't know, whatever the fuck it is that you're trying to like slang. Like there's someone out there who is going to purchase that, who's younger or whatever, who's going to be stoked off of it. And then maybe down the road, if they become, the architect that your mommy wanted you to be, then they might buy a piece of your finished work, hopefully, and it'll pay off in the long run. Maybe. We'll all see.
One thing I was curious about, you were talking about like breaking down like how much you're going to need to spend in a year and all that. Did you actually do that before? Like, I don't know, use a spreadsheet or whatever have you.
All that shit goes in my head. I just am constantly in my brain. I'm bad at all that, like, typing, numbers, and maths.
Because I have done that before, and I've tried to like stick to that, but I don't know. There's something about like trying to like be that rigid with my with breaking things down. It never adds up that way. Like there's always, I can never actually like stick to that. Like, I don't know, that plan, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. Do you follow it like that rigidly in that way at all, or?
No, I think what I think about is just like how much I should try to make in a year.
Yeah.
That's like roughly what I think about.
Yeah.
And then we have like our, whatever the fuck they're called, PTAs or some shit.
Oh,
Is that what it was?
What, CPAs?
CPAs, there we go.
Not the Parent Teacher Association.
And she runs all the fucking numbers for us at the end of the year. Then we get to look at them and go like, okay, that's what it is. So got a package. But yeah, that's kind of, I'll let the professionals do that shit. I'm not gonna like worry about buying medium or mineral spirits or a paintbrush because it doesn't fall under my artly budget.
Oh yeah.
Or anything like that. At the end of the day, like all that shit is there to make me money.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, I feel like not spending that money isn't gonna like isn't gonna like if I need paint or a printer or whatever, at the end of the day, if if I don't buy it, it's not like the solution is magically going to appear.
Right.
I'm not going to wait on Craigslist for a fucking, an Epson printer to fucking show up.
Yeah.
I mean, if it happens, it happens, but at the same time, I'm not going to fucking wait.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all that kind of like business cost stuff, I feel like is like, just find the cheapest price you can find when you need it.
Mm-hmm.
And eat the cost and hopefully make that money.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole point, right? Trying to get to the point where your art is making this money that you can afford to do all these things you want to do.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's doable. I just think you have to like change the way you think about things,
Yeah.
And then you have to Jordan/Kanye and call yourself the greatest. and then, Gary Vee and learn how to business mind that bitch. And then all of a sudden you're like, all right, well, it's definitely doable. It's just, you have to like separate your business mind from your art mind. You have to create the best art you can create that you're super stoked on.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to jump into a business mind and then create the best marketing you can do and the best fucking, how you diversify, how you fucking make money off your art.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to buy a van like I did.
Did you actually buy it finally?
I know all the listeners have been waiting. Got a van. Thank you.
That's your van saying hi.
But yeah. I don't know. This whole I don't know. I feel like if you guys are listening and this shit is boring to you, let us know, because I feel like the business aspect of art to me is like some of the most important shit that no one ever talks about. And so in a weird way, I always feel kind of slightly obligated to like be upfront and talk about that shit, especially to like the Waiting to Dry folks, because it's like,
yeah, I think it from what I've heard just listening to other podcasts, it usually comes from an outside source, inward. So maybe people, it doesn't stick to people that much, where it feels like it's coming from like this other place that it's harder to relate to. But I think when artists themselves who are going through it talk about it, it probably rings more true, like it's more relatable in that way. So,
for sure. It's also just maybe. like people are secretive about this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like they really are. Like there's a lot of artists that won't tell you shit.
Yeah.
If you're like, how much did you get for that job? They won't tell you. Like it's some kind of like secret. And you're like,
oh really?
Just let me know. And I'll let you know when I make some money doing a certain job. And then we all can like get a somewhat standard of what we all should make getting jobs. But there's this weird like hush hush, like I don't want to say how much I made off this job, because either I don't want you to feel mad or sad or or fucking tell me I didn't get paid enough or whatever the fuck it is. But it's like, like there's like I don't know, I've realized that especially with the mural world. They're so hush-hush about shit. And you're like, why? Like, you should all be saying this shit. The two people that are great at it is Jet Martinez and Amanda Lynn, who, like, at least in the Bay Area, they are, like, the two fucking mural people. The two most proficient mural people. And they are very open and honest about what they make. And it's like, you guys are fucking, like, that helps everyone, what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah. I don't know. That's because you could, I'll talk to an artist that I feel like is somewhat established or pretty established, and they seem lost about this shit. And I don't know if it's because we're lucky enough to have this podcast where we get so many fucking conversations with artists of all ranging successes that we kind of get to like fucking get little like nidbits, and we get to force them to have conversations in a weird way, where like we get to like finally like get some info that we might have not had before, or maybe change our minds on things like Prince or whatever, and so like And so, like, I don't know. To me, it's like I feel like this weird, like, obligation to just fucking tell everyone how they should be thinking about it. Because the more successful people, to me, the like better it is for everyone.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
So go fucking kill it. Make that monies.
Yeah, that's we just share with you the secrets of our business.
Another waiting to dry exclusive.
You can send your checks to. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. By the way, I think I'm the Cardi B of the art world. That's what I would like to be.
You do a very, I guess, raunchy video for YouTube.
So, are we good?
Pretty much.
Do you got anything you wanted to promote or?
Well, promote. I was going to ask you, have you ever seen the movie The Triplets of Belleville?
Is it a French?
Yeah, it's a French animation.
Oh, yeah, that movie's fucking awesome. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah.
But I remember I was like hugely inspired in high school. I was like,
oh, were you?
This shit is amazing. It was my art teacher showed it to me, and I was a little badass, and I was like, I'm gonna steal this. I didn't steal it, but I wanted to so bad.
I was curious of if you saw and what you thought of it, because like I just watched it recently after hearing about it for years. And I was like, this shit is weird. Like,
I don't remember it too much. I just remember I really liked the animation a
interesting
lot because it felt graffiti-ish.
Oh, all right.
I was
yeah.
That was what I was.
I could see that. Yeah, because it like everybody's exaggerated. Everything is like drawn really roughly as well. Like the colors are all weird and shit too.
Right. So like sepia tone is
pretty
right?
much. Yeah, for the most
I
part.
can't remember it that well. It was like I think I might have watched like freshman year in high school.
Oh, okay.
Just forever ago.
Like I'm still trying to figure out if I liked it or not.
Yeah, you can hate it, Sergio. I hate everything. All I do is rant on this goddamn. I ranted for at least an hour about a meme. You can hate a movie if you want.
But I genuinely didn't hate it or anything. That's what I'm trying to figure out, like my opinions about it. I like haven't made up my mind because like the story is weird as hell. It's like nonsense basically.
Right.
And like there's a lot of really ugly parts to it and really like kind of like
ugly, like what? Like as far as like human nature ugly?
No, I mean more, well, maybe that too, yeah. But more like certain like characters are presented in a way that's like very unflattering, like visually. And then like the
like super obese or something like that?
Yeah, not just that, but just like people just look kind of grotesque a lot of the time.
Like a bacon painting or some shit.
Kind of, I guess, if that's a suitable analogy. But like, you know, like there,
I'll just say it is.
Okay. Well, then also there's a long scene where they're eating dinner and they eat frogs in all sorts of ways. It's like really disgusting. It just like seemed very strange to me.
Like a bacon painting.
Yeah, like a bacon. Triplets of Belleville, Francis Bacon. It's all all connected.
Not a Francis Bacon, like a bacon painting.
Oh, like a painting of bacon.
Yes.
Okay.
Like a double cheeseburger with bacon.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Exactly. Coming soon to the paint.
Wasn't there like a Carl's Jr. burger that was like called like the like ultra bacon burger or some shit like that, and had like
oh maybe, but I mean Wendy's has the Baconator.
Baconator, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Probably.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, that movie I was very late to, and I'm not sure if I was that. Like I don't know what I gained from watching it other than like saying that okay, I saw that movie.
Well, I mean the that time era of like filmmaking was so great because it was so like there was so much like indie film shit going
For
on
sure,
at the time.
yeah.
So it was like they were just letting people throw like wild, like curveballs and shit. They were just
Right.
like, I don't know, let's see if it's good or not. And then people would be like, nah, not to it. You know what I mean? Like the early
Right.
2000s probably has some of the weirdest / worst / greatest films ever made because it was like just throw the darts, let's see where
Right.
they land.
Yeah, that's true.
And so
Yeah, it was definitely innovative for the time where they mixed 2D and 3D in that too. And I feel like that was a lot of the reason why it became as popular as it did. I'm just curious if you think it holds up or not.
I would have to rewatch it. I haven't seen it in so fucking long. I would be surprised if it does. I mean, so much animation stuff I feel like is like, especially around that time, especially when it was like half computer, half hand drawn shit. There's so much of that shit where you're like, oh, that looks like a video game, or you know,
Right.
like what is it? I don't know. You ever watch the movie like City of Atlantis or some shit like that?
Yeah, I do remember that movie.
I don't know how that one holds up, but like I remember I was so in. That was like another one where I was like, it's kind of feels graffiti like.
Oh, okay.
Because like the fingers were all like graffiti. They always use like big hand stuff.
Right,
So,
right.
so I was always like, oh, it feels like graffiti. And, I
Yeah.
think I watched like a clip, like recent, like not that recent, but like within the last couple of years, and everything. Like, oh, this was like, it was so much more like, I was so much more in awe of it back in the day, and obviously my skills weren't at the level that they are now because I'm one of the greatest artists of our time. You know what I mean? Feel me though. that's you don't get the answer, Sway.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and Aladdin, they have like computer graphic moments in Aladdin.
Did they? Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then in that movie Atlantis, and when you see them, you're like, oof, like it's so early on,
Yeah.
and it's so hard to like detach yourself from what things are now.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Right.
it just becomes that thing, you know. It's like in the computer graphic world, I feel like that's where the biggest growths in art have been like within our lifetime.
Oh, for sure.
So it's like seeing like right before Renaissance era where they're painting like dumbass buildings and shit.
Yeah.
And then motherfucker comes through and he's like, perspective. And you're like,
Yeah.
and you're like, holy shit. And then you look back at the old paintings, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that shit was garbage.
Right.
So, yeah. Yeah, the Aladdin computer graphics scene looks like, I don't know, like a fucking, like a Instagram filter effect or some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, the lava floor.
Instagram filter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that don't hold up at this point either.
What?
Instagram filters. Like if you look back at early Instagram.
Oh, yeah. I know. It's funny, too, because sometimes you'll see someone that's still rocking them.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, stop. Please stop.
Right.
It's like their face is like ghostly white because they're just like, I don't know. Look at all my wrinkles are gone. You're like, no one cares. No one cares if you have wrinkles.
Right.
Wrinkle up.
Wrinkle up. That's our advice to leave you on.
But nothing coming up.
Let me think. Nothing coming up as far as any shows or anything for me. Still working on that course, getting close to done with
Nice.
that. Gonna need some people to test it out. So if you guys are interested in getting in on that for a pretty good discount, because I got to figure out if this stuff works or not.
Yeah.
So yeah, hit me up about that if you want to learn to paint outdoors and plein air, do all that.
Hey,
So-
it's not plain.
Oh, yeah,
Fancy air.
fancy air. Sorry.
Thing.
Learn to paint fancy air. You could waste your money with those plain air courses if you want to learn fancy air.
Ugh.
Come over this way.
That hair looks so plain.
You're gonna look at your old paintings like those Instagram filters.
Yeah.
What about you?
I got nothing.
All right.
I'm just painting. Paint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm dropping a sex tape.
Yeah,
The Kanye
because you're the
mentality
Cardi
doesn't
B of.
yeah, the Kardashian. All I got to do is drop a sex tape, become rich and famous, marry a little bit of a kooky rapper,
Yeah,
and then live my life in a mansion.
and yeah, try and get some folks out of jail.
Yeah, exactly. So people know I'm a good person.
Right.
Yeah, that's it. Oh,
right.
rate and review, people.
Oh yeah.
If you guys want to do anything for us, rate and review.
Yeah.
Highly appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
It helps more than you think.
Yeah.
That's something we should say because everyone else does. So I assume it's true.
It helps me feel
It
better.
actually does help somehow. I'm not sure how. The algorithm gods know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we're trying to educate ourselves in case you want to change your review. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. That's hilarious.
All right.
All right.
This has been Wait and Drive. If you're still listening, fuck off.